What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We're back here once again. You already know what time it is. It is Friday. So that means that we're going to preview the game, or maybe we're not going to preview the game because I really don't care about this game. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about maybe some people who are going to be out of the game, and it's relieving that they're not going to be playing. There's some people that, again, Dan Campbell talked about injuries being not long term, but if you play them, they could be some long term stuff. So some of those people are going to be out. And we got some stuff about Coach Shep. Ironically enough, I'll tell you why that's ironic in a bit. But let's go ahead and get this thing started. You know what it is when you see me in front of TV. One thing's for certain and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. You may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P? Does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple. I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. I'll let you know. I'm not going to hide it from you. Smash like button, subscribe, and share. Smash like button, subscribe, share with your peoples. And then it doesn't matter which order you've done those things, you've done them. And you've kept your Lions news pragmatic indeed. And since sharing is caring, once you share this stream with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, you name it. You name it. You have indeed cared about those people. What up, though, people in the chat? What up, though, Brent DeWitt? What up, though, Zach J? What up, though, all the people that are lurking and not smirking, liking, but not typing? Make sure you smash that like button. Come on now. And make sure you start typing and get into the conversation, because without you guys in the chat, it's just one man talking to himself. On the YouTube, on the interwebs, and that's not what we want this show to be. So I don't know. Should I start off with the Shep talk? Should I start off with? I mean, we can start off with the Shep talk because it's funny. The funny thing about it is this. I did I did a video yesterday. And it was about Coach Shep. And for whatever reason, I got busy. Some things popped up and everything. I just didn't post it. But the crux of the video was Coach Shep has not been great. Okay? Shep talk, coach speak, right. He hasn't been great. He is a first-year coordinator. His time here should be predicated on who's available. Okay? His time should be predicated on who's available. If Brian Flores is actually available, you should go try to hire Brian Flores. If Todd Bowles is actually available, you should go and try to hire Todd Bowles. If Raheem Morris is actually available, you should try to go and hire Raheem Morris. And the reason why is because everyone around this building is talking about Super Bowl or bust. Everyone expects to be in the Super Bowl. Everyone expects to win the Super Bowl, whatever the case may be. And I don't know how you expect to do that when you're employing a rookie coordinator. And then Shep stepped in front of the podium. And he started talking about, he was asked if drastic changes need to be made. And we don't need to go, like I was going to play the sound and everything. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard the sound already. And I can play it if you want. Just let me know. But going into the whole spiel about, I started this season saying I wanted to be statistically number one in this. I wanted to be number one in that. I wanted to be number one in all the other stuff. And, you know, the statistics don't matter if you're not winning football games. Coach Shep, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say something. And you guys in the chat, let me know if I'm crazy. If you're statistically number one overall in defense, we're just talking about overall, you're probably going to win a lot more games. Because he said, I know we're an 8-8 team and we're out of the playoffs. With our offense, even with the issues and the problems that we had, if you're number one statistically in defense, you are not 8-8 right now. You're not out of the playoffs. You're 12-4 today. You're 13-3 today. There are games your defense specifically lost you the game. Your defense lost you the Pittsburgh Steelers game. I'm not even going to say your defense lost you the Rams game, even though in the grand scheme of things it did, because I wasn't going to sit up here and expect your defense to do much. That's why I said it's going to be a shootout. But just because I, Motor City Don P, sitting in Melbourne, Australia, from his house, doesn't expect you and your defense to do much, because you don't have the personnel. That doesn't mean that it's okay for you to engage in a shootout and your defense gets a pass. I just wasn't going to talk about it. It wasn't going to be a talking point for me. Your defense lost you the Kansas City game. Because your offense got you 17 points, but your defense let up 30 points. Your defense was instrumental in losing the first Vikings game. Not so much the second one. I mean, if you say in the second one, they did play quite well. They stacked Brosmer 7 times. They held him to 3 passing yards, but they gave up that one run at the end of the game, which put the nail in the coffin. The first Packers game, your defense didn't necessarily lose that game. That was on the offense. It was a low-scoring game. Your defense almost lost you the Giants game. And some people will say it should have lost you the Giants game. Okay, so we take the Kansas City game for sure. We can take the first Vikings game. We can take the Rams game. We can take the Steelers game. That's 4 games. As I said, at this point in time, and if I wanted to go a little bit deeper into this, I could find more games. Okay, but off the top of my head, you're 12-4 right now with a competent defense. The thing that I want to touch on is this. Pause. Coach Shep was asked if there needed to be any drastic changes. He said no. The thing that I'm growing very tired of with this regime, and I'm not going to use the term stubbornness. I'm going to use a stronger term because it's getting to that point. They're pig-headed. Everything is good. Everything is fine. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when you're coaching with the Lions. Now, when we talk about losing games and we talk about what could have been done better, Dan Campbell is the master of accountability. I will give him that because again, I'm just gonna pigeonhole everybody into the same situation. But Dan Campbell is the master of the "we're good" because he's the one that said that. Everyone attributed it to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes just acts that way. It's not what he actually said. But the "we're good," he's the master of "we're good" with this damn roster. And the problem is, again, there's too much belief in people that there's not supposed to be belief in. Coach Shep talked about the absence of Kirby Joseph. And basically, Kirby Joseph's absence is the reason that we couldn't recover from the absence of others. And as I said in this video that I didn't post, and I'll post it after. Coach Shep has dealt with injuries in the back four. DJ Reed, who cares, right? It's not like he was a loss for the team when he was injured. Now, I'm not saying anything about, I'm not being insensitive about injuries, okay? But I'm saying his play isn't like, oh my God, we really missed DJ Reed when he was out. DJ Reed's been injured. Terrion Arnold was lost for the season. Kirby Joseph was lost for the season. Brian Branch was lost for the season. Brian Branch helps you stop the run. DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold shouldn't have anything to do with that. Your front seven was intact. No one expected Marcus Davenport to do anything or to be available to be injured or to be injury free. So your front seven was intact. The front seven that you came into the season with was largely intact for the entire season. There were no injuries to Anzo, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell. There were no injuries to Aiden Hutchinson. There were no injuries to DJ Reader. There were no injuries to Aleem McNeil. Okay. And over on the other side, you had El Quadin Muhammad and some other guys. Nobody cares about Marcus Davenport. If anybody actually thought Marcus Davenport was going to be a contributor to this team this year, you fooled yourself. The front seven should be sufficient in stopping the run and rushing the passer. You had the front seven intact. You had Roy Lopez all year. The front seven was intact. And yet you just continue to get worse and worse and worse throughout the season. Oh, we lost Kirby. That means we can't stop the deep ball anymore. Oh, we lost Brian Branch. That means we can't stop the run anymore. Oh, we lost Terrion. That means we can't cover any receivers anymore. Oh, we lost DJ Reed. That means nothing. I'm going to get to your comments and then I'll get to the broader point of this situation. Nothing drastic needs to happen. No drastic changes need to happen. We'll get to that. All right. Shep talk, coach speak. Let's play it. Okay, I'll play it in a second. Flores isn't going anywhere. Vikings will make him the highest paid DC if they're smart. And this is the thing that I hope about Flores. And this is the thing that I really hope. I really hope the negotiations between those teams, between those two parties goes bad. Okay? I really hope it goes bad. Because if it goes bad, then the Lions are the team to go to. Because you did me wrong. You didn't pay me what I wanted you to pay me. I'm going to stay in the division like Osama bin Johnson. And I'm going to beat your ass twice a year. Should Goff play Sunday? He shouldn't. He shouldn't. Very concerned about our line on Sunday. I'm not concerned about it at all. I'm not concerned about Sunday. We're going to find out a lot about our team this offseason. We are. Only critical thing that I got about Shep is him saying he isn't going to change anything this next season, which needs to be changed. And we're going to talk about that. If anyone, Brad, Dan, Shep, Phip, Morton, even though he's gone, hopefully, says we're not changing anything, they need to be gone. Facts. Davin Hurt got healthy and turned into Davin Poop. Wasn't he always Davin Poop? He was Davin Poop long before getting hurt for the 243rd time. Facts. What up, though? Don P says, how is everyone's first Friday of 2026 going? It's going. All right. I've got here a short. Let me see.
What I've learned in my first year on the job of calling defenses is something that me and Dan talk about every day. You start off the year, I'll be lying to you guys. Listen, I started off the year, I want to have top defense in this category, top this, top that. And you get caught in these statistical things that means nothing if you're not winning football games. This league is about adaptability. And you can have a system all you want, but it's whatever dictates that week is necessary to win the football game. And that's predicated on a lot of different variables. You talk about the offense that you're facing. You talking about the personnel that's at your disposal that week. It's a lot of different variables. And my job has been, and I believe we have done as a defensive staff, week to week, what is it going to take to stop this offense? And more importantly, what is it going to take for us to play complementary football and win this football game? I believe we have a very versatile system here where we're able to adapt and adjust on the run. And I believe that not only myself, but my staff and these players have done a good job. Listen, the ball hasn't fell our way. I understand where we are with 8 losses and not a playoff contention, but I'm not going to sit up here and say there needs to be a drastic change and this didn't work, that didn't work. There were weeks we played at a high level with the exact same system, and there was weeks that we didn't. And after this game, we'll go back and look at that in totality and find out the real whys behind that. No,
I don't know what to say. I just, again, this is what I was talking about, and this is the larger point: the pig-headedness. He said, "It's my job," and I think what we have done, me and my staff, we've sat down and we said, "What's it going to take to beat this team week in and week out?" And what's it, more importantly, what's it going to take to for us to play complementary football? Let me just do this. Okay. What's it going to take week for week, week to week for us to beat this team in front of us? More importantly, what's it going to take for us to play complementary football? And I think we did a good job of that. This is what Shep said. Okay, let me just some numbers, because you know what I mean. I'm not really a numbers guy unless the numbers have context. And the context is our defense is ass. Okay, now let's get ready for that. Total defense. 18th, Detroit Lions. 335 yards, 0.8 yards per game. Gave up 45 touchdowns. And it's funny that I'm doing this now because this is what I usually do before the game, but I'm not doing this to talk about the Chicago Bears. I'm just talking about the Detroit Lions. Passing defense. 19th, 218 yards per game, 29 touchdowns. Rushing defense, 16th, 117.6 yards per game, 16 touchdowns. Now, the rushing defense got progressively worse all season. Remember, I told you guys earlier in the season that it seems like somehow every year when we get towards it, like we're not giving up 100 yards per game, and then we get to the end of the year and we're giving up 100 yards per game somehow. Okay. And that was even when that was like last year as well, but I understand all the injuries that we had last year. So that really doesn't, when you say, okay, we did start giving up more yards because we don't have bodies to stop, but we were still 15-2. The defense wasn't what it came to be last year, this year. Okay. And we had less injuries this year on defense. Okay. All right. Scoring defense. 22nd. 24.8. So basically 25 points per game, 45 touchdowns. Red zone defense. 21st. 58.8% of the time you will score a touchdown in the red zone against the Detroit Lions. Third down defense. 11th. That's the only place that we're near the top 10. 36.9% of the time you would convert a third down against us. So my question to Shep is, when you say my job is, and what we have done as a staff, because it sounds to me that he believes that he's done his job. It sounds to me that he believes that him and his staff did a good job at something. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to give you an olive branch. And I'm going to say to you, you and your staff did a good job on third down. But by the looks of things, you guys aren't doing a good job on first and second down to get them into third down because you gave up 45 touchdowns on the season. Right? Okay. You were giving up 25 points a game. Okay. So that's roughly 3 touchdowns and a field goal per game. That's 24 points. So obviously there were other, games where you gave up more than 24 points, and that's how you got your average. When you look at these numbers and you look at the context of the numbers, how do you believe that you did your job? So when we say, oh, there doesn't need to be drastic changes, you're 11th and third down. Cool. Everywhere else, you're around the 20s, either in the 20s or just outside of the 20s. It's this type of thinking that leads to a larger problem. And I'm going to ask you guys to do something. Y'all know I'm not really big on college football. So if you're in the Discord, I'm going to ask you guys to send me like prospects that I should look at. Just give me like a cheat sheet. And by the way, there is an amazing feature that I'm putting into this app. Well, you guys are going to love it. You guys are going to love it. No other mock draft simulator goes into the depths that I'm taking this into. So you guys are really going to love it. It's for hardcore football junkies. It's like GM mode in Madden. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. It comes to this point. This type of pigheadedness, it leaks into and seeps into draft strategy. Because you feel like there needs to be no drastic changes, you're like, well, we can put a Marcus Davenport back out there. We're not going to draft a guy that's less than 260 pounds to play the edge. Even though you've got a guy staring at you, which I don't know, runs a 4.3. He's 245 pounds, and he's got 37 sacks this season. These are made up stats. Okay? But that's closer to a Micah Parsons than it is to an Aiden Hutchinson or a Marcus Davenport. Brad Holmes saying things like, we draft football players. There are football players that are less than 250 pounds, my friend. There are football players that are less than 6'7". We're talking about to play edge, right? There are football players who play the edge position who are in the Hall of Fame that don't have the measurables of Marcus Davenport. There are football players in the Hall of Fame who did nothing but rush the passer for their entire career. They were specialists, and they're in the Hall of Fame as specialists. There are football players who are undersized, like Aaron Donald, to play the interior defensive tackle position. That's why we didn't draft him in the first place, because we overlooked him. It wasn't this regime. It was 2 regimes prior. What is it going to take Like, what is it gonna take? You went from the NFC Championship game to 15-2 to losing that you went 15-2 and then number one seed and lost first game in the playoffs at home because you had a turnover fest. Your quarterback shot the bed. And then your offensive coordinator threw in a stupid ass play at the end, one more for good measure. And then you go from all that to out of the playoffs, playing a meaningless Week 18 game. And yet you're still trying to do things the same way. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Our staff did a good job. Yeah, no, you know what? The staff did a great job of sitting around the table going, how do we stop this team? I don't know. Throw some guys out there and hopefully they'll do their jobs. How do we play complementary football? I don't know. Throw some guys out there and hopefully they'll do their jobs. Your staff did a great job at that. And it showed in the numbers and it showed in the results. We're 8-8. Did you play complementary football against the Chiefs when your offense was able to muster 17 points? Was your defense able to hold them under 17? No, you gave up 30. Was that complementary football? Was it complementary football when you played against the Rams and your offense put up 35 points? No, because your defense gave up 40 plus. You damn sure didn't play no complimentary football against the Steelers. Because of you, we got into a shootout with the freaking New York Giants. Did you play complimentary football in those games? I just want to know. I just want to know. And get to your comments. I got a funny feeling that MCDC and the villain GM might keep DC Kelvin Shepard. I think they will. But if these guys are available, one of Brian Flores, one of Todd Bowles, one of Raheem Morris, and you don't, I don't know what to say at that point. I would say the secondary is trash. The secondary is trash, but our front seven intact. That should mask your secondary because that's what the front seven does. It makes sure if your front seven is good, it makes your secondary look good. If your front seven is trash, it makes your secondary look trash. So what was going on with our front seven when we had everybody healthy? What was happening with that? What up, though, Tactical Sport? All good, all good. I don't see. Look, my thing is this: I don't have a problem with keeping Shep if there's not a better option available. If there's a better option available, you hire him. It's just that simple. Sign Lindenbaum and Joe Bettino fixes a lot. It doesn't fix the defense. It doesn't fix the defense. If you take out this play, yeah. You know, if you take out the 3 explosive run plays against the Steelers, we really only gave up 100 yards rushing. You can tell how much the other team respects your defense by the number of 4th downs they go for. And we had a lot of 4th downs against us this season. Facts. Facts. The Packers didn't care. The Vikings didn't care. Nobody cared. They were just like, go for it. This defense isn't going to stop anything. I just put Ron in timeout. That was a stupid ass comment. I just sometimes you know what I'm saying. We've been regressing since 23. Don't care about the win total. One playoff advancement, crucial off season for Brad and Dan. Facts. Either the coaching was trash or Brad is trash. It has to be one or the other. I didn't think Shep was ready for that role to begin with. I wanted Dennis Allen or Terrell Williams, but they can't change that now. Well, Terrell Williams went somewhere else. And Dennis Allen was poached by Osama. All right, let's look at the injury report for Lions and Bears and Tigers on mine. All right. So Alex Anzalone is out. Tristan Colon is out. Thomas Harper is out. Who cares? Aleem McNeil is out. He did not practice all week. Okay. Penei Sewell is out. He did not practice all week with that ankle. Coyote Awasika is questionable. Taylor Decker is questionable. Christian Mahogany is questionable. Giovanni Manu being questionable is a situation that I don't care. I don't understand why we're listing this. Amon-Ra St. Brown, knee ankle is questionable. Avonte Maddox, back illness, has no designation. So Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, probably Amon-Ra St. Brown are all playing in this meaningless game against the Chicago Bears. We should have a few candidates for DC. Hopefully, I wouldn't mind pulling someone from the Broncos staff. I wouldn't either, because they lead the league in sacks. Their top sack getter was drafted in the second round. Another top sack getter was drafted in the 7th. So I wouldn't mind it at all. I'd love it, actually. I just don't know, man. Oh no, man. What will we? I don't know. Look, I just the disappointment in this team, bro. The disappointment in this regime, the disappointment in this coaching staff. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you guys, but there's a lot of fans that are out there that just don't. It's the Brad Slappies, it's the In Brad We Trust guys. They just don't understand why fans on this side, because I'm not going to say that they're not real fans. I'm not going to tell you what kind of fan you are. Now, if you're a Detroit Rams person, you're not a real fan. I'm sorry. If you bought a Detroit Rams shirt to do something other than burn it, you're not a real fan. I'm sorry. Now, you can be absolved of your sins and you can ask for forgiveness. But if you're a Detroit Rams person, I'm sorry. You're just not a real fan. We're when we look across the pond and we look at the teams that are successful year in and year out, and there hasn't been a team that really is going to win the Super Bowl year in and year out, except for the Chiefs. But during this Chiefs run, we've had teams that are expected to make it. We've had in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, right? In the NFC, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles, you've got the LA Rams, you've got the San Francisco 49ers. You've got these teams that are in contention every year, and the way that they do things is so different from the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions can't say, well, our way works. No, it doesn't. You got one NFC Championship appearance and then regression for the next 2-3 years. Because our general manager has squandered 6 or more third-round picks, tricked them off for nothing. Instead of using them to go get a proven guy like you did with Carlton Davis. I think one of your third rounders was, I think you got Za'Darius for a third and a fifth or something, or was that a fourth and a fifth? And then you let those guys go. You cut one of them and you let one of them go out of the door. What's the point of the third round picks at that point? So he just eats through third round picks like they're candy. I was watching the heavyweights earlier, and we're talking about who to draft, and they're going, oh, well, this guy, this guy, this guy. But if this guy's not available, because you have to fix the offensive line. And the reason they're saying this is because they know that our general manager is not interested in free agency. I'm tired, bro. I'm tired of watching this. And I've tried to avoid it. But he's got one more offseason until he goes into Bob Quinn territory. Not he's a bad drafter like Bob Quinn, but I'm the smartest guy in the room like Bob Quinn. I reserve smartest guy in the room for Bob Quinn. Brad Holmes currently is arrogant. And it's weird. He's weird how he keeps receipts and he pulls them in press conferences against the media and has done nothing. He's won nothing. Your draft picks have not panned out. And I'll tell you why. Brian Branch hasn't panned out. Kirby Joseph hasn't panned out. Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't panned out. Penei Sewell hasn't panned out. Are they excellent players? Absolutely. Do we want excellent players on the team? Absolutely. Do we want a Super Bowl? Absolutely. Have they gotten us a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. So I'm not trying to say that your draft picks are trash as far as the young core. But that's all you've done. You've picked good guys. You've picked all pros. At the end of the day, where's the Super Bowl? If you want to freaking make, take victory laps, if you want to pull receipts, you have to have hardware. You have to have rings and things. Brett Veach is a guy that can pull receipts. Howie Roseman is a guy that can pull receipts. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, these guys can pull receipts. If you're not sitting at their table, because you're not, Brad Holmes, I'm sorry. There is a 1 ring minimum to sit at the table with Brett Veach, Howie Roseman, Bill Belichick. Right? There's a 1 ring minimum. John Lynch can sit next to their table because at least he's been to multiple Super Bowls. Les Snead can sit at their table. Brad Holmes, you have no rings. What are we doing? What receipts? I don't understand what I'm looking at. It's like freaking bizarro world, bro. And I'm a logical person. I don't understand the illogical things that people do. You're pulling receipts for what? You're barking at reporters for what? You're screaming in the elevator. That's great show of emotion because you just won a playoff game. Cool. A playoff game or 2 playoff games is not what we want because we're greedy. There is no scenario where you can play 2 playoff games and win a Super Bowl. There are 4 playoff games. You can skip one of them. You have to play a minimum of 3 Super Bowls. 3 playoff games to win a Super Bowl. You have to. We've never won 3 playoff games. And when we were in position to play 2 to get to the 3rd one, which was the Super Bowl, we pooped the bed in game number 1. So I'm not understanding why other people, why other teams and other regimes can go out and say, you know what, we made a mistake. We need to get better. And we got Shep standing in front of the media saying we don't need to change anything. Saying at the end of the season, we'll look at everything that we've been doing wrong in totality and try to fix that. Why are you waiting until the end of the season, bro? I mean, I get you can't really make wholesale changes, but it's your job. You're the defensive coordinator. You should have been not going home at night, staying in the office, watching film from all of the games. When you were 7-5, that's what you should have been doing. You should have been like, oh snap, we can't lose any more games. I don't get it. I don't get this my way or your way is not working, bro. It's not. We've had a sample size of 5 years. You got to the NFC Championship game. You haven't been back. Your coach told you this might have been your only shot, and you didn't take advantage of it. And then your coach goes out and freaking hires Johnny Moe and Kelvin Shepard to further hinder you in your ability to get there. Because Johnny Moe was a terrible hire. It was a terrible hire. And we tried. We tried to convince ourselves. We tried to talk things up and say, hey, man, Johnny Moe, he's got this and that experience. And he did this with Bo Nix. And he did that with the Raiders. And he did all. Didn't mean a damn thing, bro. My man couldn't figure out how to use one of the fastest receivers in the NFL. He couldn't figure it out. He could not. Let that sink in. He couldn't figure out that Jamison Williams didn't have to be 75 yards down the field for you to throw him the football. He couldn't figure that out. This is the man you hired? How and why did you hire him? He should never get another OC job. He can be the passing game coordinator all he wants. He should never get another OC job. Because of Jamison Williams. Because you got one of the most explosive weapons in the NFL and couldn't figure out how to get the ball in his hands. Anyway, bro. Mailbag. What you want to do? What you going to do when they reading you? Mailbag. Next, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Basket it. All right. Get your mailbag questions in. I'll get to the rest of your comments while I'm waiting for the mailbag questions. We pulled someone from the Broncos. He's getting fired soon. Yeah, Johnny Moe. I don't trust Holmes or Campbell right now. I think next season is a win it all or get fired situation. I wouldn't agree with that because what we need to see is a change in their stubbornness. We need to see a change. If they don't win it all because they're stubborn, fire them. If they don't win it all, but they've made the changes and they've said, okay, look, we're going to do it this way. And then they get to the NFC Championship game or they get to the Super Bowl and whatever happens, cool, because then you can have faith in them going forward that they're not just going to rest on their laurels and be stubborn and say, well, this is supposed to work because this is the way that we want to do it. Coach Shep talked about having being adaptable. Well, you guys aren't adaptable because you think Thomas Harper and Daniel Thomas are supposed to be doing the same stuff as Kirby Joseph and freaking Brian Branch. It doesn't work. You have too much faith in these practice squad guys or vet squad, as they call it. What kind of crap is that? They have a different name for their practice squad. Everybody in the freaking NFL has a practice squad except for the Detroit Lions, who have a vet squad. Give me a freaking break, bro. They're practice squad players. They're professional practice players. They practice football professionally. Get that through your heads, man. They're not Kirby Joseph. They're not Brian Branch. They're not Jack Campbell. They're not Aiden Hutchinson. They're not. They have limitations. You must change your defense when those guys start getting in. But more importantly, when those guys start getting in, Brad Holmes needs to go do something at the trade deadline. Oh, wait, you can't because you don't have your third round picks. And no one's taking your fourths and your fifths. Well, this team probably won't get fixed in the draft, have to work free agency to fix draft for depth. Yet you can get a draft piece here and there. Maybe in draft in round 1, 2, and 3, you can get players that will help you fix this thing. You better get players that can help you fix this thing in the first 3 rounds. And then you have to do free agency everywhere else. That's just how it's going to work, bro. If you're going to sit there, bro, like I said, if Brad Holmes picks a project player in the 3rd round, I'm done. I'm done. As I said, I will when we're streaming the draft. If that happens, I'm just gonna start a fire Brad Holmes chant. Fire Brad Holmes. Fire Brad Holmes. Like done, bro. Leave the project players in the projects where they belong. Don't freaking pick a project player. I'm sorry. Melvin is in the booth by the kitchen. He's nowhere near the table. Pulling receipts because we won a couple playoff games, obviously. Right. Yeah. I'm about to get my media card so I can start going to these press conferences and asking the real questions we want to know. They get asked the real questions. They don't answer them. If Johnny Mo was so great, why did Dan let him go in 22? LOL. Because Osama bin Johnson was there and he was better. I knew from preseason that Morton was trash. You trying to evaluate players for the best 53-man roster and just handing the ball to Craig Reynolds 900 times. That is true. Mailbag, remember when we was told that J-Mo was unguardable in training camp, then we didn't use that unguardableness? Pepperidge Farms remembers. As I said, bro, that is not only a fireable offense, you are officially unhireable after that. You are official. If anybody gives Johnny Mo the keys to their offense, they deserve whatever they get after that. Because once we saw that, oh my goodness, bro. Oh my goodness. I mean, Jameson Williams is one of the easiest players to get the ball to, not just one of the most explosive. It's easy to get him the ball. Look at how Osama bin Johnson used that man. Jet sweeps, crossing routes, slants. You can get the man the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And then Johnny Mo said, hey, behind the line of scrimmage, you say? Smoke screen, smoke screen, smoke screen. Take that. Bad boy. You know what I'm saying? It's all Johnny Mo did. And I was like, what? It was terrible. It was terrible. Brad and Dad need to stop falling in love with character and start worry more about talent. It's like they fall in love with guys because they eat, sleep, and breathe football. Okay, but can they play? Facts, bro. The Dan Campbell guy needs to go away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He just needs to go away. Oh, this is not a Dan Campbell guy. He's not a Brad Holmes guy, bro. Your guy needs to be a guy that can play football at a high level. Because all this character that they have, when they start losing, see what's happening now. Y'all want to talk about Monty and all, he has been misused all this season. And once the losing started and the lack of carry started, look what he did. He took to social media, start liking posts, bashing Jahmyr Gibbs. But he's supposed to be such a character guy. When you're winning, people have great character. When you're losing, unless you have someone like AJ Brown, who pouts and reads books on the sideline while you guys are about to win a Super Bowl because he's not getting the targets. And that again is an outlier. How many guys do you see doing that? Which is why it's such a big story when AJ Brown does that, because in the NFL, you don't really see that. When people are winning, they are winning and they are happy. When people are losing, you see what kind of character you have, but no one cares about your character at that point because you're not putting any W's up. As fans, that's what we care about. Give me dubs, not hugs. I don't care. Lord have mercy. Pause. I want y'all to walk to Brooklyn to get me a cheesecake, y'all, or to get me some to give me some Cambodian breast milks. I only drink the finest breast milks. Hey, this is 100% Cambodian, y'all. Y'all did. Dad is proving that he's a meathead. It's not. Meathead is a derogatory term. Dan is proving that he falls in love with these guys, pause, to the detriment of the team. That's not being a meathead. That is being too caught up in the culture and the grit and all that bullcrap. He's not stupid at all. That's what a meathead is. Just like I wouldn't call Kelvin Shepard stupid, I'm not going to call Dan Campbell stupid. I guess I'm a racist because he's white and I won't call him stupid. Just like the black dude, I wouldn't call him stupid. I was also a racist. So I don't know. I'm just a racist whenever it comes to it. Okay? It's not intelligence. It's loyalty. He's loyal to a fault. And the fault is losing us football games right now. Glad when the season is over so I don't have to see another interview with a lame duck OC, LOL. I don't know. I haven't watched an interview with Johnny Moe since he got his stuff taken away. There's talent on the team. So, no, the problem isn't the talent on the team. The problem is when these guys are getting injured, which is also a problem with coaching because I think they need to take a look at their practice policies. But when these guys are getting injured, you don't try to go and make any moves. You're just going to get, if you do make moves, you're going to get a practice squad player. You're not going to look at a Max Crosby or another disgruntled player, right? A guy that you might not even know is disgruntled, but he's quiet. He's doing it the right way. He's quietly going behind the scenes and going up to the coach's office like, Coach, man, I'm not happy with my role here. I'm not happy with the way that this is going. You know, y'all need to get me out of here. So when Brad Holmes is scouring not just a waiver wire, because that's all he does, okay? When he's making calls to teams, which is what he should be doing, hey, man, what's going on? Y'all got anybody just, unhappy over there? They trying to, maybe get a change of scenery, right? You're looking at a guy that's supposed to be a guy and he's not getting the playing time. And you go, what about such and such? Is everything good? No? Okay. Look, can we give you something for him? But you didn't vet squad. That's that bullcrap, bro. It's a practice squad. Again, say it with me now. They practice football professionally. They are professional practice players. The key word is practice. Is Tyrus Wheat, Tyler Lacey, and Davin Bum playing Sunday? That's all that really matters. I don't know. They weren't listed on the report, so I would guess. Lions got to find players on both offense and defense with a history of durability. Brad got to stop being cheap and getting fragile players like Marcus Davenport. Big facts. Big facts. And that's the other thing. Again, to the detriment. Brad Holmes, injured player, right? Himself, major car accident, had a stroke, had to learn to walk again and play again. Has a soft spot for injured players. Got to stop that, bro. Got to stop that. It's not helping you. It's hurting you. Mailbag, remember when last season we had the best offensive line in the NFL? Then we didn't replace our all-pro center and let a Pro Bowl caliber guard walk out the door? Pepperidge Farms. All of that happened on Brad Holmes' watch. All right, guys. We don't need pass rushers. We got one. If the pass rush was a game changer, then the Browns and Giants would be sweet. We need O linemen. We need linemen. Okay. We do need another pass rusher. We need a tackle. We need a guard. Okay. We need a center. Yeah. We need to revamp our offensive line. And we also need to add pieces on the defensive line. That's why you got to draft and sign and trade. You can't just be doing one thing. You can't just draft people and just say, oh, that's it. That doesn't work. Remember when we had a true red zone threat in Timmy P? Then we traded him for a 5th round pick and a pack of already chewable bubblegum. I mean, Isaac Tesla he's going to slide into that role, but the Isaac Tesla trade was his dumb one. It was one of those dumb things that Brad Holmes does with his 3rd round picks. We need men. Well, we definitely don't need women in this situation. I don't disagree, but Brad has blatantly ignored the edge, and now we need edge and OL. Facts. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got some things to do, but we will be here on Sunday. I think, was it 425? So, yeah, be here or be squeer for the last watch party. It's not really going to be a party. It's more like a funeral service, but we'll be here. All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, and we are out. Peace.